Think about Zipline also as investment of a government in aerial logistics, which can respond to disaster management. For instance now, if we were to fly to Turkana, I can imagine how many children's supplements we could have delivered in terms of, for those who are undergoing malnutrition. Rather than them waiting for days to receive what is being allocated to them, they can actually be receiving them every day. We do like 400 flights a day. In most of the countries that we operate. So you can imagine how many 400 flights, how much of that reaches people at the time they need it. Think also of aerial logistics. Okay. Don't worry, it's not that time is up. Yeah, so these are the other ways that aerial logistics is able to support in terms of disaster management. In case there are floods, we're able to reach people faster than any other road transport that is there. If there are accidents on the road, we're able to fly the emergency supplies, and this is what Zipline is all about. And together with LREB approached us when we were trying to find our footing here in Kenya, and we were wondering where should we start.
But we found LREB ready at the invitation of the CEO, Mr. Anyagaya, and the support of Governor Nyong'o, and we found a place. And now we built in Chemelil, and in Chemelil our hub is already there, 100% locally run by Kenyans from the different regions in these counties. And we'll be flying from that area, 100 kilometers radius one way, to most of the LREB county governments. We're still onboarding some of you. I know some of you are still new. They've not even heard about Zipline. But I welcome you to visit Chemelil and see how we can partner together to accelerate universal health coverage. Without further much talk, we will play one video just to showcase how this is done, and I'm happy to engage you after for one-on-ones.
Welcome to the fulfillment operations area. We deal with blood products, we deal with vaccines, we deal with regular essential medical products as well.
So it's one of our busiest distribution centers. It serves the whole of the Upper East region. Every 4 minutes or so, you'd see a delivery being made to a facility that really is dependent on our service.
What you can see here is vaccines that we have here as bulk storage that we are keeping here on behalf of some health facilities that are in very difficult to reach locations.
Many products might have gone bad somewhere due to expiration or storage condition. We are saving those products from going bad by centralizing some of these critical products.
So welcome to the flight operations area. This is where all that is done with the drones. The package gets into the drones, and then the drones are launched to the health facility. This centralization allows us to be able to serve patients on demand because of the speed that we carry with aerial logistics.
There are so many health facilities that actually depend on our service on a day-by-day basis. And so what we are doing in Zipline is to ensure that the supply chain is revolutionized into a system that is very responsive to what is actually happening on the field.
It takes not more than 40 minutes for whatever items you request for Zipline to be able to supply it to the facility. When I'm going to do a surgery, if I don't have the blood that is required, I've called Zipline. I can have the confidence to start, because in the middle of the surgery, I'm sure I will get it.
So being able to ensure even distribution of some of these critical commodities is very impactful, because the health professionals know that they can focus on serving the patients without worrying about the inventory of storing some of these complex products.
It has changed the system for us for the better. We are 100% sure of product availability, even when there is shortage.
Being able to make the supply chain so responsive that people can receive that same quality of care wherever they are is very impactful to see.
Plans are in place to cover the whole country so that every single facility, every hospital, every health center in the country will have access to these products.
What really sets Zipline apart is our appreciation for all of the complexity that's actually required to build an autonomous logistics service that can operate at national scale and operate reliably enough that people can depend on it with their lives. It is possible for humanity to put every single person on the planet within a 15 to 25-minute delivery of any essential product.
Thank you. I invite you to our stand. You'll see the drone there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry. I apologize. Jerry, speaks very fast, but that's the usual way she speaks, not because she's here today. But I hope you understand what she says. We shall, in the future, in the very near future, request the governors of the Lake Region Economic Bloc and their health and veterinary agriculture CECs to come with us to go to zipline in Chemelil. Now, in Chemelil, we too have an animal reproduction center. Our aim was to get higher breeds, breed with our zebu cows and other cows, so that we can have animals which produce more milk. We realized that I live in Rata, in Seme sub-county. If I have a zebu cow which needs semen from Chemelil, putting that zebu cow in a pickup all the way to Chemelil to get artificial insemination is rather expensive. Walking with that zebu cow is even worse. So it's easier to get semen from Chemelil on zipline to bring to Rata for the cow to be inseminated where she is. You know how cows are inseminated. I don't need to tell you. My wife is shaking her head. So that is the logic of it. So the veterinary ministers and the health ministers are really the first beneficiaries of this program. We went to Rwanda with Governor Amos Nyaribo, Governor James Ongwae, and Governor Oparanya, and we saw the thing in action, and we were persuaded that this is what we need. The program, I must thank Kama Rogo. Kama made a very good presentation here as usual and challenged us in many things. Kama, I assure you that we are going to meet again to discuss with you the implementation of the proposals you have made. So then the next step. I'd like now to go to Food and Agriculture Organization, the County Director, Ms. Kala Mushavi. We intend to have this program of presentation up to about 11:45 or 12 o'clock, because the governors are very busy people, like to finish the scientific program before noon so that we can have the bureaucratic meeting of the governors after that. I call it bureaucratic because it discusses official matters. Please.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Governor, Kisumu County. Let me really by protocol, stand by the protocol established. Your Excellency Governor, the Chair LRREB, the former Chair, the governors, really congratulating the new governors by the brilliant election, and really commit as a FAO to continue working together as you discharge your noble functions. I'm Carla Mukavi. I'm from Mozambique, and I'm the FAO country representative to Kenya. And actually, I do recall, Your Excellency, that when I first came to Kenya in 2020, the first county that I visited was Kisumu. So, and since then, I've been really coming to Kisumu, and I'm really so pleased to be here today. And I'm really honored to join this important summit of the Lake Region Economic Bloc. And I really want to say that, of course, on behalf of FAO, I really want to thank for this invitation that was extended to us. And indeed, I would like to assure you of our continuous support for the development agenda of this region. As for Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, that I have the privilege to represent here in Kenya, we have, I should say, really continued to nurture a very fruitful collaboration with the LREB and to grow partnership with the counties within this region and the bloc. Let me just say that we as FAO, we established our office in Kisumu already We are, of course, based in Nairobi here in Kenya, but we have established an office in Kisumu to coordinate our work within the region. And we have seen really along these years a growing portfolio of different programs in the region, and particularly targeting and dealing with the issues pertaining food and nutrition security. And this is indeed aligned with the FAO global mandate of ending hunger and ensuring food security in the world. For instance, in 2020, we worked with the LREB on a 10-point communique that was aimed at creating the required enabling environment and also infrastructures to attract investments for the fisheries and aquaculture sector, which really constitutes one of the potentialities of this region. And the key areas of the communique are ensuring increased investment to develop the necessary fisheries and aquaculture infrastructure by the LREB counties, to create and strengthen fisheries cooperatives, and to promote increased ventures for PPP in aquaculture business. And I really note with pleasure that there have been really various initiatives, some that were launched and surely will continue to do so even after the summit, to increase private sector investment, and particularly in agriculture, livestock, and fisheries sectors. And I should say that this is really commendable, and it's in line with the agriculture sector transformation and growth strategy, which of course envisage increasing investment by the private sector, because this is really an important ingredient in the transformation of agro-food systems for job creation, income generation, and economic growth that of course will really contribute to the well-being of the citizens of this region. Let me also add that we have been also partnering with all the 14 counties in this region on the land governance program to ensure equitable and also secure access and management of land for socioeconomic development. For instance, Vihiga is a role model on the digitalization of land records and also the GIS lab. And now we have started to implement the second phase of the land governance. Actually, it's called now the Digital Land Governance Program that is funded by the European Union, that I really want to take this opportunity to thank. We're talking about $20 million. And more countries in this region will really benefit from these programs. And this will unlock the potential of land, as we all know that land is the main factor of production. And we are also looking at strengthening legislation and also conflict resolutions, because we do know that there are conflicts on land. And again, digitalization will really enable the registration of farmers. We talked about data through the Kenya Integrated Agriculture Management Systems, KIAMIS, for e-vouchers, e-extension, and e-subsidies, because really we want to make sure that by really targeting and having the real data, we can really provide the support that the farmers need, and this will contribute to boost production across the region and also address the deficit that the country faces. And I should say that, of course, those are initiatives that will really enhance crop production, promoting good agricultural practices, and building agribusiness capacity within the region. And in boosting sustainable production, we as FAO have been really working with the governments of Migori. I see the governor, Your Excellency. I know that you were in Nairobi, and I could not really receive you the way I should have. But here I am, really placing our support Bungoma, Homa Bay, and Siaya. And with the counties, we are really enhancing the production, for instance, of proteins ingredients, such as the soya beans, that are required in the animal feed industry. This is so important. We know that, of course, right now, Kenya is currently depending on the import of these protein ingredients. And yet, through local production, we can indeed increase job opportunities for our young, for women, and really hopefully even lower the cost of production for animal feed. We know that the high cost of animal feed is really one of the major constraints to livestock, and also to aquaculture and fishery. This is so critical, particularly in this region, knowing really the potential of the Lake Victoria. Let me also say that, of course, we are also working with women in Nyamira County. I also had the opportunity and the privilege to be in Nyamira to increase production and also profitability of indigenous vegetables. We were able really to link the women's group with the market, and we could really see the result of that on improving their livelihoods. Let me talk about climate change, and we know that climate change is really deepening our vulnerabilities. So that's why it's so important that we really vigorously address this challenge by building resilience of the communities of this region. But I can really talk about Kenya at large. It is really so important, so that they can sustain and really resist to shocks through mitigation and adaptation of measures and capabilities, and really avoid what we are really seeing right now, the recurrence on emergencies and the humanitarian assistance that the country is really, of course, confronted with today. And to address this as FAO, we are currently implementing actually a project to restore the Monte Algan ecosystems. And we are also developing a project entitled the Transformation Livelihoods through Climate Resilience, Low Carbon Emissions, Sustainable Agriculture Value Chain in this region. This is a project that will be funded by the Green Climate Fund, and we are talking about $50 million US. And we also have the involvement of the Danish government, the Kenyan government, and other institutions. And of course, this is a project that will run for the next 5 years, 2024 and 2029. And will reach around 150,000 farmers. And we are trying to work with the cooperatives in the 14 counties of this region to really increase production, income, and financial viability, and build resilience to climate change impacts, particularly in some of the value chain like coffee, tea, dairy, poultry, indigenous vegetables and fruits. So let me say that in the implementation, because this will be really one of the important projects that we are really bringing to the region, and in the implementation of this program, we are looking forward to synergize with the other programs at the county level, including the FLOCA, the Financing Locally Led Climate Action Program. We will assist the local communities to develop the action plans, really to benefit for those funds. And let me say that already in February, we have already signed a joint communique with the Excellencies, the governors, in order to make sure that we come together to really, of course, promote and implement this project. So let me stop here and say that I'm so pleased to be here. We stand really together and committed to really continue this journey together and to provide the support needed really to steer the LREB to greater heights. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Carla. Let me assure you that we need FAO more than you need us. Or let me put it another way. We need each other. And we shall continue to work together in food self-sufficiency and food production. in a scientific manner that saves both energy and finance. Our people are ready to work, but we want better access to market and a quicker and more effective way, and I would say economic way of producing food and other agricultural items. We shall now have Dr. Said Ali Matano. Those of you who know the Lake Basin Commission will know Dr. Said Ali Matano, who was the last director of the Lake Basin Commission, which is a community organization based here in Kisumu. Said, please, you are a Kisumu person.
Your Excellency, the chairperson of this session, Your Excellency, the governors and the deputy governors, distinguished leaders, ladies and gentlemen, I am glad to participate in this very important meeting, and basically, chairperson, I'm going to make a presentation, or before I do that, probably I may need to introduce myself so that I can be able to give a perspective on what I'm going to present. My name is Dr. Ali Said Matano, and I'm the immediate former Executive Secretary of the Lake Victoria Basin Commission, which is an institution of the East African community that is based in Kisumu, and for that matter, the only institution of the East African community that is based in Kenya. The Executive Secretary would have come with me, but he was unwell, and he also requested me to talk very briefly about the Lake Victoria Basin Commission, because the discussion that we are going to have today is basically we realize that the Lake Victoria Basin Commission and the Lake Regional Economic Bloc are actually twin sisters, if not brothers. And therefore my presentation basically is Lake Victoria Basin. Of course it was Lake Victoria, but Lake Victoria cannot exist in isolation, so it is Lake Victoria Basin. And it is said it is the sleeping giant, and we'll see after my presentation whether indeed it is a sleeping giant, but focusing mainly on opportunities, challenges, and challenges for the optimal or sustainable use of the shared resources. My presentation will be brief, Your Excellency. I'm going just to give a bit of basic facts about the Lake Victoria Basin, and perhaps compare it with the Lake Region Economic Bloc, which I've said really sisters, and then focus on the economic potentials of the basin in its entirety, which is again a replica of what is within the Lake region. Look at the challenges and the threats to sustainable development in the Lake region, and share with you a few strategies for unlocking economic potentials within the Lake region, and then chairperson, I'll make a conclusion. Chairperson, the Lake Victoria Basin, on the diagram that is provided on your left side, gives the Lake Victoria Basin as viewed from an East African community point of view. And as you can see, the centrality of that is the Lake Victoria. And just to mention that this is one of the significant or the most important lake globally, being the second largest freshwater lake in the world, the first one in Africa for that matter, and very, very significant to the Lake Victoria Basin. The total area of that lake is about 68,850 square kilometers. And if you look at the dark area, that is the basin. And the basin is actually 184,000 square kilometers. And therefore you can see, literally speaking, the lake has almost taken the whole of us, and perhaps we need a county called Lake Victoria. Chairperson, that is the lake region. And the basin itself, the dark area, is shared between 5 East African community partner states, namely Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and the United Republic of Tanzania. But significant to say that from the schematic presentation there, you find that the basin on the Kenyan side is quite huge, Actually, it is 22% of the entire Lake Victoria Basin. Yet, the lake portion is very small. It's only 6%. So, 22% of our catchment area, Chairperson, is actually impacting on only 6% of the lake. And perhaps this can indicate why some of the people accuse the Kenyan part being the main polluter. Population-wise, the Lake Victoria Basin itself has about 50 million people. And the biggest portion of the population is actually on the Kenyan side, around 15 million or thereabout. But the significance of this diagram, Chairperson, was actually to extract that East African Lake Victoria Basin and put it aside and look at the Lake Region Economic Bloc. And actually, that's why I'm saying that genetically speaking, they are the same. It's only that administratively we are looking at it from a different perspective. So the role that is played by the Lake Regional Economic Bloc and the role that is played by the East African community are almost the same. Now the only difference here, Your Excellencies, is the fact that the Lake Regional Economic Bloc, the counties that are involved there, they are actually two which are not here, Chairperson, and perhaps through your indulgence you may be able to bring them, West Pokot and also Narok. That one now covers the entire Lake Victoria Basin. Why are those missing? And I think it has to do with the definition that is given to the Lake Victoria Basin. And it is defined as the portion or parts in the partner states whose drainage system pours their water into the lake. So the Lake Victoria Basin is not administratively delineated, but rather hydrologically delineated. And perhaps that's why, for us, I think it is the economy, not the lake system, but basically we are almost the same. Chairperson, if I may just highlight a few of the general factors or the general facts about the Lake Victoria Basin and therefore the Lake Region Economic Bloc, is that this lake region, during the first East African Community Development Strategy that was drawn in 1997 up to 2000, the area was actually designated a regional economic growth zone. That is very significant because it is the basis upon which everything that happens within the basin is anchored to. And this pronouncement was made actually by the heads of state. And the reason they did that was because of the significant environmental and natural resources that are found within that region. And therefore, when the governors came together to establish the Lake Regional Economic Bloc, they were actually actualizing the aspirations of the heads of state who declared that region a regional economic growth zone. That was actually in the first East African development strategy. The population, as I said, is quite huge in the region. It is about 50 million in the entire basin, and that region has the highest growth rate of, I think, between almost 3.8 to 4% per annum. And of course, as I said, it has huge potential for economic development. And the GDP, I don't have the actual figure, but it is estimated to be 30% of the entire EAC environmental natural resources there. But again, the same area, if you look at the World Bank report, it has an area that has the highest poverty level. The Human Development Indicator, I think, talks about 48% of the people living below the poverty line. So you can see the paradigm there. At one side, we have huge environmental natural resources. At the same time, the 50% of the 50 million people, most of them are poor. And we want those poor people to utilize the resources within the basin to actually create wealth. And therefore, that balance between wealth creation and environmental sustainability is quite critical. And that really emphasizes the need to use the principle of sustainable development. And I'm so glad, my friend Victor, you really put it right by saying that sustainable development is actually the foundation of development within the region. So that is a very important point that we are going to discuss today. We can go to the next one, the next slide, just so that I'm able. Now, in terms of specific data or specific information, or what we call the morphology or the geography of the lake, it is important that we understand this so that we can see the dynamics. Now, I said that the lake itself is 8,800 square kilometers, almost the size of North Ireland. And this lake is quite a shallow lake. Actually, the average depth is between 40 to 80 meters, so it's quite a shallow lake. And the total volume of the water has actually been calculated to be 2,760, not millimeters, not meters squared, cubic meters, but kilometers squared. Good mathematicians can actually calculate. It is actually 2,760 cubic kilometers. It's a huge volume of water. But then, this water that we see in the lake is the balance between what goes out and what comes in. And that is actually what is referred to as the water balance of the lake. And the water that comes into the lake, there are two sources that brings in water into the lake. One is through precipitation, the rains that we have had. And this contributes hugely because it contributes about 82% of the waters in the lake, whereas the 20% is contributed by the rivers. There are whole river system within the lake. So if you take the rivers plus precipitation, then you get the inflow into the lake. But that water does not remain there, Chairperson. The water has to go out. And how does it go out? One of the ways is that we have one exit point that is in Jinja, that is Owen Falls, which removes about 24% of the water, and what remains 76% is lost through evaporation. So what comes in through precipitation and the rivers minus what goes out through the Nile and evaporation is what remains to be 2,760 cubic kilometers. That is very significant, especially if you look at the current climatical change, such that any difference between that dynamic would actually make the lake dry. But let's move from there. There is something that is called flashing time. As we talk about socio-economic development within the Lake Victoria Basin, we must realize that the lake is very fragile, especially in terms of pollution. There is something that is called the flashing time, and this is the time that it would take if, God forbids, there was actually an incidence of spill into the lake and probably chemicals spilled into the lake. It would take 140 years for that chemical to be spilled, to be flushed out, naturally speaking. So we need to be very careful. There is also something that is called the resident time. Now, the resident time is, in case, for example, today there was no rain and there was no precipitation, it would only take us 23 years, Your Excellency, for the lake to dry, and perhaps we start dividing plots therein. We go on. Now, let me very briefly look at the economic potentials in the basin. A lot of it has been said in the presentation by Victor, but it is significant to say that 22% of the Lake Victoria Basin, the entire of it in the East African community, is actually on the Kenyan side. And this area is among the most productive areas, and therefore poses a very huge, serves a very big potential. And there are actually two transboundary rivers they are in. One of them is the Sio, Malaba, Malakisi, Gavana Utuma, that is on your side. And then, of course, there is the Mara River that transits from Kenya and ends into Tanzania, that falls within the region. Of course, there is huge potential regionally on the blue economy. Fisheries, resources. Water itself is a huge resource, the one I talked about, almost 3,000 cubic kilometers. Of course, there is also the marine transport that is also poses a huge, which gives us a big potential. The other, perhaps, other potential, Chairperson, is the green economy. And of course, we need clean energy. Of course, we can use solar. There is also wind power. The lake itself blows a lot of winds, and that is a potential that we can actually use to generate power within the region. And I'm happy most of these ones are within the strategic plan of the Lake Regional Economic, the Lake Regional Economic Bloc. Of course, we have developed a structure of governance, given that already the developed system, and of course we also have robust private sector, and I know we are represented here by the private sector within the basin. All these are potentials, and of course one of the biggest potential that we have, Chairperson, is the fact that already the governors decided that to take that block as an economic block and establish an institutional framework in the name of Lake Regional Economic Bloc, because this is going to be the driver upon which we are going to depend on promoting sustainable development within the lake region, just like the EAC established the Lake Victoria Basin to promote sustainable development within the region. I will move a bit faster. Of course, other potentials in the region include agricultural land. Regionally speaking, the Lake Victoria Basin, 70% of the Lake Victoria Basin is actually arable, but only 40% of that is actually utilized for agriculture. But that is from a regional perspective. I guess the figure is much higher in terms of the land utilized within the Lake Regional Economic Growth. And of course, another important thing is the livestock. We have a huge livestock potential, and I'll show you a graph here that shows the Lake Region economic growth population of livestock vis-a-vis the African averages. And therefore, and of course, given that livestock are more resilient to climate change, I think that's an area that we should also take into account. Of course, diverse entrepreneurial skills within the region and the talents, moderated climate change, as Professor did mention. Of course, the area has a moderated climate change. We also have a very good transport system within the region. We have a very good transport system within the region, and therefore this we can take advantage. The diagram that is shown there is actually the Mbita Causeway, and that island actually can be a paradise, a huge potential for ecotourism. This graph actually shows what I talked about livestock. The red portion shows the lake region averages, while the green one is the African, average. So we have a huge potential of livestock. The small one is interesting because that actually shows chicken. And Kenya, we are leading, and you can see the yellow part is actually chicken, a concentration that is very high, courtesy of contribution from the region, because we keep that type of livestock. Let's go so that I finish, because I'm short of time, but I'll share the presentation. It's a bit... I want to quickly look through the threats that we have, the economic threats to economic development within the region. And of course, one of them that we have been talking about is the declining fisheries resources, but there has been a debate whether it is understocking or declining fisheries resources. Of course, there is also a lot of pollution getting in the lake, especially in the small urban centers. That graph shows 3 peaks. The first one is actually Mwanza, the short one in the center is Kisumu, and the last one is actually Kampala, and the small one and the small upcoming countries that are actually pouring their effluents into the lake, and therefore the issue of pollution could be threatening. The other one, of course, the other graph shows the population also. We know population has positive aspect and negative aspect, but I would just want you to look at that graph. The red portion shows population, 100 persons per square kilometers. I think in this is back in 1960. But if you click that graph, you'll see the area changing, the red area changing up to 2015. The more the red is getting into the area, the more the population that is above 100 persons per square kilometers. And this goes up to 2015. So probably even the small yellows we are seeing there, per person might have disappeared. And the huge population is putting a lot of pressure on the small portion of the lake. And therefore, of course, in terms of population is very critical. I don't want to really dwell in that. Let's go to the other one, because they are the same one who cast their votes. Threat to economic potentials in the block. Of course, there is the aspect of globalization, pollution. The green substance you are seeing there is, of course, the green algae that is coming to the lake, and it's an indicator of how much pollution we are putting into the lake. So the lake is hugely populated. Of course, there are other factors like what we talked about the other day when we had deaths in the cage farming, the potted up whaling, the phenomenon that's called the potted up whaling, which caused a lot of death in the fish. We can go to the one so that I can share with their excellencies a few strategies that I have put across before I end my 1 remaining minutes. One of the things, Chairperson, I think is important for a group of entities, the way we are like a super county comprised of 14 counties, is we need a common vision, a shared vision, and a strategy framework for management and development of the basin. That is very critical, and that shared vision should be accepted by all of us. Victor, I don't know whether that one is in place. We also need a strong institutional legal framework as a special purpose vehicle to push the agenda that their excellencies are actually willing to undertake within the region. And that institutional and legal framework should have an institution, Lake Regional Economic Block, but it must also have a legal framework so that there are certain activities that are supposed to be coordinated by the Lake Regional Economic Block. Just like the East African Community gave the Lake Victoria Basin Commission an institution called the Lake Victoria Basin Commission to coordinate activities in the 5 partner states that surround the lake. So an institutional framework is very, very important. And of course, there is the conducive environment for investment, interconnectivity, And of course, SGR, I know we are looking at it, but in the end of the day, I think that's also an area that needs to be pushed. But significantly to say that we also need resources. We need a bank or a fund to support the implementation of the strategy that we have. And in conclusion, Chairperson, I think I'll just conclude by saying that if we continue, the spirit is there and the willingness is there, and we have you, the governors, who are willing to push this one. As long as we have a good development strategy for the region and a strong institutional framework, then really it is the Lake Region Economic Bloc that will be the first to realize the aspirations of the former fathers of the nation who declared this region a region of a region economic bloc for the East African community. And in conclusion, Chairperson, I will stop by citing a verse not in the Quran but in the Bible, and it is John 1, chapter 1. It does say that in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and actually the Word was God. If you look at the Hebrew translation, the word is called logos. Logos actually means an idea. So that is at that spiritual level. But if we land down on the earth where we were given the dominion by God, I would say that in the beginning, the governors who decided this had an idea. And the idea was with them. And they are the idea. So, Your Excellency, you cannot escape from this. You are in it. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Thank
you very much. You need to spend more time with Said Matano to enjoy his humor. He has a tremendous sense of humor, but we didn't give you time to do that. But Said will definitely call you back again to the governor's meeting to discuss more of this. But if there is any take-home on Said's talk, it was this: the lake will dry up within 23 years if we don't replenish it with enough water. 23 years in our lifetime. And replenishing it means improving the environment around the lake so that there's more water. That is afforestation. But he also said something very interesting, that the higher the population grows, the more threat to the survival of the lake. But he knows that we are not going to stop population growth because we need votes. So that's Ali's sense of humor that we will continue to enjoy. Now, let me assure you that everything presented here will be published in a bulletin. We intend to have a quarterly bulletin of the Lake Region Economic Bloc to make sure that this presentation and discussions don't disappear as just incidents, but they will become part of the knowledge that we are accumulating in the Lake Region Economic Bloc. I would also we are intending to publish an investor handbook, a handbook that gives investors ready information about the Lake Region Economic Bloc, what we have done, so that they are not thinking they are coming to write on an empty slate, and where we are going, so that they know what our challenges are to invest strategically in the Lake Region Economic Bloc. I'd like now to call two people to come together, Dr. Julius Nyoro and Dr. Nancy Kiavaria, because you are both going to talk about the blue economy, so that you don't misunderstand me. I'm not calling them here to arrange a wedding. They are coming here to talk about the blue economy. Nancy and Julius, come now or forever hold your peace. Are they there? Anybody against Nancy and Kavaria? Please speak now. Come over, don't be shy. I am just a human being like you, who happened to be a governor temporarily in my lifetime. Please. You are going to address us on blue economy, no? Financing the blue economy, very important. So when you finish, then Julius will come. Julius, you can come and sit over here with us, don't worry. It's not... You think Julius should go first? Julius, Nancy said you should go first. Where is Julius? A very shy human being. Where is he? Is he around? He's still... just sit down, Nancy. Julius is oh, you are putting your presentation PowerPoints. Okay, we'll give you 30 seconds. And then you come over, please. Nancy says she can start. Please, Nancy, come over. Yeah, let's give them Julia's time. Don't panic, Dugu. Just do it properly.
Good morning, everyone. It's very hard for people to pronounce my second name correctly. My name is Dr. Nancy Kairaria. I'm a lawyer by training. I specialize in maritime law, but I'm a consultant, both legal consulting and management consulting in the maritime blue economy space. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to give this presentation, so I'll get right into it. My presentation covers three main things: what the blue economy is in terms of inland waterways, because we're in Kisumu, the Lake region. We are going to look at what sectors, what opportunities are there for financing. Then we are going to look at why do we need money, what exactly do we need money for, where to get it from, and how to get it. That is what my presentation covers, so I go right into it. Blue economy basically is the development, economic development through utilization of resources in marine spaces, so to speak, but because we're in the Lake region, I'll talk about the inland waterways. Sustainable blue development must contain three things. The first element is that it should be sustainable. It must be done in a manner that meets the needs of the present generations while conserving the same resources for the future generations. The second element is that it must have an economic value to it, in the sense of creating employment and producing goods that can be used to bring money, creating employment, alleviation of poverty, and ensuring that when you're doing so, you don't compromise the quality of the environment. So it covers those three elements. You can move to the next one. I have that side. And I can move closer. When you talk about blue economy development, it is important that you look at a project in the integrated sense. You look at what you need to do. This one is an example, for instance, fisheries management. What are the inputs? What are the things that you need to do? If you look at this, there's need to develop the necessary policy for it. There's the need to have the proper products that you get out of it, include developing capacity, both technical capacity and human capacity, to ensure sustainable fisheries management when you're fishing. But when you're doing that, what are you doing it for? What is going to be the social impact? You have to ask yourself what you're doing, what you want to do, vis-a-vis what the impact on it would be, socially speaking, and from an economic perspective, so that you have projects and you fund projects that don't last after you develop a feasibility study. You need to be able to come up with projects that are going to last for generations, outlast you, and benefit your children and your children's children. Next one. This one is basically, I was highlighting the blue economic capabilities in the Lake region. The key elements that I can think about is, of course, fisheries and aquaculture. We can look at boat construction. We don't have a vibrant boat building industry in Kenya, yet we have a LREB. There's a lot of boat activity going on. We can look at the issue of marine tourism within the lake, as well as environmental management and maritime security. These may incorporate patrolling of the lake, as well as undertaking security surveillance of the lake, so to speak, physically speaking. What are the critical inputs that you need to grow the blue economy? The first thing you need, of course, is creating awareness about what opportunities are there in that space. You need seed investment. One of the things you need to have to do blue development within the lake is actually to have money to do it. Then you need the infrastructure, and you need the enabling policy, legal and strategic frameworks to be able to do that. The financing blue growth within the lake. There are various sources of funds that you can access to be able to finance projects within the lake region. The first thing, of course, is the money you get from the consolidated funds. The second is having development partners where you can access grants and other types of equity. The other element is that you can, for instance, get blue bonds, what is now called blue financing. For instance, the IFC has a big blue bond that was launched in 2020 for about almost now $200 million, where you can actually access money to be able to implement blue economy projects, both in the oceans as well as in inland waterways. I only have 2 minutes, so I'm going to rush you. What are the proposals to support transition into the sustainable blue economy? What does county governments need to do to be able to get into blue economy investment? The first thing you need to do is basically do a study to determine what clusters are actually economically viable within the region. After you do that, you develop a strategy. You do a policy and the legal framework to support that. You need capacity development in terms of both institutions as well as a technical and human capacity to be able to implement that. You need to have a roadmap to be able to implement your project, and also you need to do sustainability planning so that you are able to know where you are going to get the money to do the project, to basically design the project, implement it, and ensure that you monitor and evaluate how it is performing over a long period of time. Because you don't want to start something, say for instance to design a project on blue energy, renewable energy from the lake. Then once the study is done, you don't have money to actually implement it, or you have no idea to get finance to do that. Or after that is done, how do you ensure that whatever infrastructure you have, the hard infrastructure is properly maintained, and that we have actually developed soft infrastructure to make sure the hard infrastructure keeps running. So these are the key propositions that you need, these are the key things you need to do in order to invest in the blue economy and to actually get gains from it. The project financing cycle, like I said, you need money to do the project design, the implementation, delivery, and finally the monitoring and evaluation to ensure its sustainability. Next, I have 1 minute. Okay, there are various funds existing at the moment for blue economy investments. We have 3 funds by the World Bank. We have ProBlue, which is also between the World Bank and other banking institutions, financial institutions as well as countries, that have come together and developed a fund for various elements in the blue economy space. So if you have a proper project or an idea, that is also another place you can access funding. The International Development Association also has a blue economy fund. You can actually apply for a grant to be able to implement your projects, go back, and the Global Environment Facility, they also have set aside money to be able to do environment-related projects for support of the blue economy sector. You can also get financing from the private sector. You can get private investors that are actually interested in investing in that space to be able to take up that. And for the countries, you come in by making sure that you come up with laws and policies that actually promote private investment within your areas. For instance, if you want to invest in boat building, how you need to make me find Lake Victoria a more business-friendly place to have a boat building facility than Mombasa. So counties need to think about the policies and laws that they need to put in place in order to attract foreign investment. And of course, the last one, you have to come up with the proper arrangements to work with your development partners in order to access money to be able to implement blue economy projects. And like I said, there are a lot of funds that have been established around the blue economy and climate change. If you have a blue economy project that has an climate change output, then accessing money is very easy, and there are a lot of opportunities for that. Go to the next one. And these are some of the examples I was telling you about. You'll see them in the presentation at the last page. Okay, these are the conclusions we are making. Blue economy, cluster mapping and prioritization. There are about 23 blue economy clusters. You can't decide that you're implementing all of them. You have to look at what looks for your region. So you pick fisheries, you pick renewable energy, you pick aquaculture, and basically prioritize on that, so that you don't spread yourself too thin. So it is important to actually have a study or an activity where you are able to map what are the economically viable blue economic clusters that can be developed within the region. Then you develop a robust pipeline of bankable projects that are shovel-ready. When you're going to look for money, when you start picking up that I'm going to look for money, you need to already have designed, or you know, this is the project I want, this is what we need in terms of money, and this is what is going to be the environmental, socio-economic impact of it. If you have those projects already ready, then the process of accessing funds from the various institutions that I've mentioned then becomes easier. The other thing you need, let me finish that one, go back. You need to pursue innovative funding initiatives like blue bonds, private equity, partnerships, as well as corporate seed capital. There are a lot of companies as well as high net worth individuals that are willing to invest heavily in projects in the blue economy space. I'll give you an example. Like in Latin America, we have a logistics company that integrates banking, insurance, and all the logistics players, from warehousing to tracking to port operations, and they have managed to raise almost $1 billion over the last 2 years to basically implement their project. So if you have a good project, the money is out there. Then you need to, of course, build institutional and human capacity to undertake robust funding drive. You need to have people within your institutions that are able to actually sit down and be innovative, come up with projects, and go out there and look money to fund and implement their projects. Finally, we need to adopt laws, strategies, and policies that are conducive for private investment, PPPs, and other private businesses. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nancy. That's really good. Nancy was really addressing you as investors, because governments are very poor in doing business, and what's being called for is business on the lake. And let me inform you that the shipyard company in the lake is ready to work with you, especially in boat building, using fiberglass boats to have saved the environment. So when Nancy was talking about those international organizations who are interested in investing, provided this is related to some sustainability of development, is very important. And Governor Paranya, I'm making you this proposal that we meet Nancy during lunchtime to discuss. My wife has come back in time to save me of the proposal I'm making so that we can meet Nancy to follow this project. It's very safe, don't worry, my dear. Anyway, so let me have the next speaker to speak. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Excellencies, the governors, delegates, My name is Dr. Julius Nyoro Dogoni. I'm going to discuss and talk about sustainable use of blue economy. And before I do that, I would like to thank Your Excellencies the Governor for taking your energy to support REC Region Economic Bloc. Through my presentation, you are going to see the reason why. The theme of this occasion of the summit is laying the foundation for sustainable utilization of shared resources within the REC Region Economic Bloc. And this, we are also greening up the blue economy. Next slide. The title is Sustainable Utilization of Blue Economy Opportunities. We have great opportunities in REC Region Economic Bloc. What are we focusing on? We are focusing on laying the foundation for sustainable utilization of shared resources within the REC Region Economic Bloc by unlocking blue economy opportunities. We have great blue economy opportunities, and we have to unlock them for development. Next slide. The facilitator is myself. I've a bit of a profile there. I worked with the government for some time. I worked in Ethiopia for some time. And I'm now currently working in South Sudan. I have some knowledge on aquaculture and fisheries. Next slide, please. What is our objective? Our objective is unlocking opportunities in the blue economy in 14 member counties. In these counties, stakeholders can enhance economic growth for wealth creation in each county. We are very rich. We have to appreciate we are very rich. REC Region Economic Bloc to develop a strategy for blue financing. My sister talked about financing. To enable implementation of specific activities in blue economy. And what is blue economy? Blue economy focuses on the utilization of available aquatic resources species, which constitute a major source of wealth from all 14 counties in Victoria Basin. Blue economy management and activities. We need to look at management activities. Because that is the way to go, which starts to be a major driving force for sustainable living. We also need to appreciate that more than 70% of the earth is covered by water, which is starting point of life. And that is what blue economy is all about. In a nutshell, blue economy means smart fishing, inclusive, harnessing renewable energy, creating jobs and reducing poverty, taking action against illegal fishing, and taking marine litter and oceans pollution. We have polluted our waters, and we have endangered our life. Next slide. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, particularly SDG 6, talks about clean water and sanitation, climate action. We are all aware about serious climate change. Life underwater. We are within the Lake Victoria, all that life. And of course, life on land. You can see the interaction of blue economy. Those are sustainable development goals. However, the national development plans, Vision 2030, the county development plans, don't move very fast, even if there is no time. AU Agenda 2063 appreciates blue economy initiatives and acknowledges inland water bodies as critical natural resource for economic advancement. We need to appreciate our inland water bodies. Next slide. The government of Kenya is in the forefront in building global consensus around best approaches to promote sustainable economy development agendas. You all know that we hosted the International Conference on Blue Economy in 2018. Blue economy looks at the importance of protecting the country's drinking waters and the resources they are in. This is where the problem is. We need to understand that unless we protect our waters, our life is threatened. For sustainable economy, there is an urgent need to empower and focus on sensitization and capacity building of county governments, all stakeholders, and local NGOs on what is blue economy, because we have not yet understood what blue economy is about. Of course, the National Development Vision 2030, county governments have done that in their development plans. Of course, our bottom-up strategy, all appreciate the initiative that acknowledges the ocean and inland water bodies as critical natural resources for economic advancement. Next slide. The Lake Region Economic Bloc brings together 14 counties with the Lake Victoria, which includes Bomet, all of them, we are all aware of that. The bloc nationally holds the opportunity to economically harness blue economic resources from the world's second largest freshwater lake and Africa's largest inland water body ecosystems. We can do that. Lake Victoria rivers. This is where my interest is. All these rivers that are feeding the lake, they need to be protected. You have heard what my friend Dr. Matano has said. Unless we do that, we are going to see the problem we are seeing in the lake ecosystem. And we already know that these rivers, ecosystems are great natural water resources with a strong blue economy that can be transformed into food baskets among the get out of blue economy. We don't need to have a problem of food in this country. Lake economic bloc can feed this country if we are able to sustain our water resources and all that energy. Next slide, please. Look at, I've shown that this is showing how the rivers are. All those counties can do a lot of agricultural activities, create jobs, do a lot of blue economy initiatives across the board, and feed our population. Next slide. What is the role of Lake Region Economic Bloc? The Lake Region Economic Bloc needs to explore ways and means to optimize economic benefits from underexploited blue economic climate challenges in the 14 counties. We all know the problem we have seen with climate change. It is dangerous, very dangerous. So we need the Lake Region Economic Bloc, which has brought all the counties together, all professionals together, to gang up and come up with some strategies. In the pro-blue economy within Lake Region, counties are encouraged to establish the necessary institutions, initiatives and innovations that build the relevant capacities to better harness the potential represented by the blue economy. It is in mass. Lake Region Economic Bloc Management proposes to come up with strategies and initiatives supporting the blue economy activities geared towards shared resources and focus on fundraising. My colleague has said how to raise funds. We can get that money as soon as we do sustainable proposals. Next slide. I want to show you some of the existing blue opportunities which are already existing in your counties. That is our waterfall within one of our counties. But we can create an innovation to add on the opportunities that we have. We just need to be innovative, and most of us have talked about that. Next slide. I have 2 minutes. The proposed Buru development initiatives can lead to a paradigm shift, yes, in water conservation efforts. We need to support food security, livelihoods, job and wealth creation, especially during this time of global economic crisis. We all know that we have a serious economic crisis because of COVID-19, the war that is already ongoing. Fundraising from individual member counties, private sector development, and especially organizations supporting initiatives within the blue economy sectors. FAO was here. I thank Madam, she has already said they are supporting some activities. Fisheries, climate challenges. Climate change is increasingly mounting and threatening the integrity and sustainability of all our water resources. We have seen some challenges in Victoria. Rivers flowing and flooding during the rainy periods, and we have not seen anything yet because of climate change. Let's go. Next slide. I have 2 minutes. These are some of the challenges we see during the flooding. Look at competition for water. Next slide. Proposing initiatives, Lake region with a status among the best. This is why I wanted to stay by time. Among the best economic bloc. Lake region economic bloc is one of the best economic blocs in this country, and even in East Africa. To develop initiatives geared towards the blue economy in order to sustainably manage water resources is critical. To develop a roadmap to sensitize and cascade domesticate blue economy initiatives to society. Next slide. We need to develop initiatives. I've talked about that. Next slide. Next slide, please. I wanted you to see this snapshot. Aquaculture systems are so significant in this region. Already, sustainable aquaculture, fish farming for fish production in Lake region, aquaculture, which is the fastest growing food sector in the world, this is according to FAO. This sector is supported by county government all over in this county. We have a program at the APDP which is already ongoing, supporting aquaculture systems. Next slide. Those are some of the ongoing activities on blue economy in aquaculture. Next slide. 1 more minute. I want to talk about cage culture. Cage culture is currently feeding this country on fish. But you have seen what has been happening in the lake. Fish die. Why? It's because we have refused to understand the challenges of climate change. Kenya Marine have said that also. As a fish expert, I have to say that. We need to start appreciating there is change and address cage culture in a sustainable way. And this is where we don't have our farmers need to lose fish. We have to call our insurance agencies to take back our farmers. Blue economy, we enjoy fish. You can see a lady there who is enjoying fish. The women are the ones who fish for us, and we appreciate that. Next one, please. Blue economy will cover also agricultural activities, intensive technology to give us food. Next slide, the last one maybe. Maritime is part of blue economy. Next slide. Thank you so much. Please protect our waters. We need to see how Lake Region Economic Bloc is going to protect our waters. Thank you so much. If we don't do that, we shall be fighting.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nyoro. We have established a military regime behind here to keep time. So excuse us for our method. But while saying that, a colleague of mine or a colleague of ours has just arrived, whom I'd like to introduce herself, Governor of Homa Bay. Can you just introduce yourself? There are some people who were not here yesterday who would like to see you. Another colleague has also arrived, Simbarati from Kisi. Okay. All right, you have plenty of time. Seeing young as you are, I think you have plenty of time. Yeah. And Utichilo, Governor Utichilo, where is he? I thought I saw about Utichilo here. Governor Utichilo just stepped out. And then, oh, Governor, please. I didn't see. Thank you much, Teresa, very much emeritus. Now, to conclude the series on the blue economy, we have somebody come to speak on a very important subject. Remember, Governor Nyoro said that we need services in the blue economy and mentioned insurance as a service that could help the blue economy. Now, Edwin Ogumbo is going to talk about multi-agencies that are functioning or are ready to work or support the blue economy. Edwin.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, delegates present today. My name is Edwin Ogumbo from Moi University. I sit in the technical committee for the LREB Blue Economy and Multi-Agency Team, where we are bringing together national government state agencies working within the Lake Victoria Basin to address matters blue economy in this region. We have several agencies who are represented here today. And before I make any further move, I'd like to request all the agency CEOs who are here to just rise up for the governors to see who is here. I saw my Kenya Maritime Authority, Director General Banajono Mingo, has been very instrumental in financing our movements and in making sure that this multi-agency team is intact. We have other agencies like Kenya Ports Authority, we have agencies like Kenya Railways Corporation, we have Kenya Shipyards, we have NEMA, National Environmental Management Authority, we have Ken Invest, and many others. So this day, we want to say that my bishop, the professor, you'll agree with me that a sermon on blue economy has been preached here, and your servant Edwin is called to make the altar call. So allow me to make this altar call, Your Excellencies. The reason being, we are asking ourselves, after all that has been said here, what is being done? Something is going on, and as a multi-agency team, we brought our brains together under the auspices of the Lake Region Economic Bloc and realized that one of the key things that is lacking in the region is adequate planning. Adequate planning, why? Most agencies, national government agencies, if you looked at what we did in Bomet during the inaugural conference for Blue Economy, Chairman, you'll realize what we did on the ground. It was wonderful.
Then we moved to Nairobi for the Global Blue Economy Conference in 2018. Several actions were recommended to be put in place, and some of the actions that were recommended were that we come together as a multi-agency team to make sure blue economy issues are addressed and planned for. Therefore, we came together under the Lake Region Economic Bloc, and the first thing that we identified that was a problem was that there was no adequate planning. And the first planning aspect that we undertook was that Lake Victoria, the 6% of the lake that makes Kenya, that borders Busia County, Siaya County, Kisumu County, Homa Bay County, and Migori County, had never been planned. Therefore, we decided to seek partnership support, and through the British High Commission, FCDO, and Gatsby Africa, we got support to undertake, as the first spatial plan ever on Lake Victoria is being undertaken now. I want to pause there and call upon Gatsby Africa to tell you what they've done, just in a nutshell. Madam Zainab Jonawala is the representative from Gatsby Africa, our partner that is undertaking spatial plan on Lake Victoria. Just a few minutes, Prof, then I'll proceed.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies and delegates present here. My name is Zainab Janwala and I'm representing Gatsby Africa. Before I dive into the project that we're implementing, I want to tell you a little bit about the organization that I represent. So Gatsby Africa is a private philanthropic foundation. We were set up by Lord David Sainsbury in the UK, and we have a long history of engaging in East Africa since 1985. Our aim is to build stronger, inclusive economies in East Africa through the transformation of key sectors. We aim to develop competitive, inclusive, and resilient sectors that inspire a step change in the country's growth and generate significant gains in jobs and incomes. So we currently have a portfolio of about 6 sectors. We work in agricultural inputs, aquaculture, commercial forestry, livestock, textiles and apparel, and water. And we currently work across Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Uganda. So I'd just like to introduce a project that we're working on called Project SAWA. SAWA stands for Sustainable Activities in Water Areas. As I mentioned, one of our key sectors is aquaculture. We believe that aquaculture has immense potential to meet the current supply-demand gap for fish protein in the market, but also to create jobs and significant employment opportunities and improve nutrition. But we're also cognizant that aquaculture operates amongst multiple other industries, and they depend on common pool resources, namely water and space. And they're tightly coupled to the ecosystems in which they operate in, such as Lake Victoria. We're also cognizant that any activity on the lake, tourism, production, manufacturing, domestic use, aquaculture, they all have their environmental footprint on the lake. And so while Lake Victoria has huge environmental and economic significance, the water body faces quite significant challenges to ensure its resilience and long-term sustainability. So we want to apply a broader management approach to aquaculture that takes into account other uses of the lake, that takes into account environmental factors like water quality and site suitability, and we believe this is critical for the industry to achieve its full potential in a manner that's socially, economically, and environmentally sustainable. So the SAWA project, Sustainable Activities in Water Areas, the goal is to, in partnership, build an aquaculture governance framework that improves decision-making and addresses challenges of multiple lake uses and water quality issues. So currently we're collaborating with key lead government agencies, which are the State Department of Fisheries, Kenya Fisheries Service, Kenya Marine Fisheries Research Institute, and Kenya Maritime Authority, including others. And our vision is really to support Kenyan research and policymakers to build a world-class aquaculture governance framework. We'd like to maintain the water quality and ecosystems and build sustainable aquaculture and secure food safety and stimulate the rural economy. So we are working towards developing the first spatial plan for Kenya's side of Lake Victoria and develop a carrying capacity framework which works towards providing a framework on siting, licensing, and monitoring environmental impact. So if you look at the picture on the right of the slide, this is an example of a spatial plan that was done in Lake Cahora Bassa in Mozambique, and we hope to bring similar tools and technology outputs to build a world-class governance framework for Lake Victoria that presents in a holistic view the current industries, opportunities for Lake Victoria, and to ensure that it's managed in a sustainable way. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Madam Zainab. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we have achieved so far, among many others that I'm not going to dwell into. I may need the next slide. What we are doing as the Blue Economy team, multi-agency team, we are developing a concept that seeks to promote economic growth, social induction, and preservation or improvement of livelihoods, while at the same time ensuring environmental sustainability of the oceans, coastal areas, and inland water areas. That is our mandate in the multi-agency team. Now, from the Bomet conference, the Global Blue Economy Conference in Nairobi, when we came together, we said there has to be something that is joining us together. Therefore, the team developed what is called a memorandum of cooperation, where all the CEOs that sit in these agencies, together the Lake Region Economic Bloc, signed a memorandum that is guiding us as we operate. Therefore, the next slide, the memorandum of cooperation was signed at that particular ceremony. It was witnessed by the governor of Kisumu County, Professor Peter Nyang'nyong'o, and the then Minister for Defense and former Minister for Devolution and Asal, Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, was present at the function. All the agencies' CEOs put their signatures on an MOC, and that is our guiding principle today. Next slide. Our focus is simple. We are looking at inland waters, specifically Lake Victoria, in terms of shipping, transportation, infrastructure, tourism, the ports, sustainable energy, mineral resources, management of and sustaining of marine life, conservation and sustainable economic activities, maritime security and safety, regulatory enforcement, and community inclusivity. We realize that actually you cannot operate around Lake Victoria without involving the beach management units, and in the Kenyan laws today, you cannot bring a project at a specific site without involving the local communities. Next slide. Next slide. The multi-agency Blue Economy team exists to achieve the following objectives. Objective number one is to ensure a harmonized and coordinated approach by the multi-agencies towards realization of shared vision in utilization of shared resources for the growth and development of inland blue economy. Why were we targeting this, Your Excellencies? Do you know that for this region in Kenya, every financial year, Professor, we'd find that agencies working in this region would, by the end of the financial year, take back money to the exchequer and say there was no blue economy project on the ground. Yes, they take back the money. There's no blue economy project on the ground. Yet, what was missing was the planning and the coordination aspect. Therefore, we are appealing to the multi-agency group that have signed the MOC that from the year 2022-2023, hakuna kurudisha pesa treasury. Tuko hapa and we are ready to spend. Next, go back to the objectives. We are to identify ways through which the multi-agency team could create synergy and effective collaboration towards realization of the inland blue economy aspirations. Our partners who are here, before, these agencies could draw money from you on the same project. Are we together? One agency, one donor partner is financing the same project in two different agencies. There was no synergy at all. A lot of duplication was taking place, and that is why we've decided we come together, look at our development plans, priority areas, then group them together and say, you do this, I do this, and he does that. Then we have to ensure consistency and regularity in communication related to inland blue economy in the Lake Basin, a unified source of information. We are coming together as a team to make sure that the information that we share out there has authority. Yeah? Not KPA giving their own information, KMA giving their own information, Kenya Railways giving their own information, but talking of the same subject. There must be coordination. We are to ensure that the programs and activities of the various multi-agencies are aligned to the overall objective. Kuna wengine, their objectives, they don't follow as laid down. So we are just beefing up so that we ensure each agency sticks to their area of operation without conflict of interest. Then finally, Your Excellencies, this is very key. We want to come up with an additional task of helping the agencies mobilize resources where they lack. You may find that agencies have very good plans, wonderful business plans, but for them to reach an expert like my sister Nancy, it becomes a problem. So we'll call Nancy, come to our multi-agency meeting and tell us, where can we get this money for blue economy? Nancy, you already have a task. Are we together? Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we know that as this summit comes to an end, as the blue economy team, we have to present considerations to the chairman and his team. The following we'd like to be considered even as you retreat to draw your resolutions for this particular summit. Number one, we are requesting the summit to consider institutionalization of the blue economy multi-agency action plan by establishing a blue economy desk at the Lake Region Economic Bloc Secretariat. And Prof, we are not just talking about blue economy desk. If I go by Nancy and Dr. Nyoro's presentation, let us combine blue economy and climate change. So what that we do at the LREB office, we have a desk dealing with blue economy and climate change. Come back to us, we reach out to other partners so that that particular desk can be funded. Secondly, this is to all the governors. You know, when you talk about blue economy, don't think of those counties that are touching Lake Victoria. No. For water to move into Lake Victoria, my river Yala has to flow from Cherangani Hills, going across over 4 counties, Governor Tatebea, to come down to Lake Victoria. Therefore, blue economy cuts across all the 14 counties of the Lake Region Economic Bloc. Therefore, we are saying that the individual governors consider incorporating the multi-agency blue economy action plan in the county integrated development plans. We are going into the 4th MTP. Yeah? As you draw the next plan, please have blue economy. And Prof, allow me, and Chair, allow me to congratulate Her Excellency Madam Gladys Wanga. Amongst us, she's the only governor who has designated a whole ministry to blue economy. Madam, asante sana. So we are saying, get back, but we'd like you to consider having this action plan in your CIDPs. Number 3, that the individual counties, that the governors, consider appointing blue economy team leaders to be part of the multi-agency blue economy technical team at LREB. We cannot communicate because there's no specialist that is taking this information from LREB, from the multi-agency team, back to your county. We need that communication channel to be implemented by you simply designating a team leader who will carry this information back home. Then finally, 2 minutes gone, finally, Prof, that the summit considers approval of the multi-agency committee to spearhead the planning of the proposed East African Regional Trade Investment and Blue Economy Conference in 2023. We did a regional internal conference in Bomet in 2018. This time down the line, we are saying when the steamers leave the port of Kisumu, we want to see a similar receptivity at Bukoba, Entebbe, Jinja, Mwanza, so that you cannot make infrastructure to nowhere. We have a similar infrastructure the other side. That's why we are saying, we are proposing, we are calling the East Africa Blue Economy team to come together for a conference in 2023, subject to your approval, Your Excellencies. Thank you.
Very, very good, Edwin. Thank you so much for all the proposals. Ladies and gentlemen, let me assure you that the Secretariat is taking notes and records of this meeting, and therefore it will appear in the LREB bulletin so that we remember and recapture what we have been discussing this morning. We are moving very well, I think, and now I'd like to call upon the CEO Wilken and his team to come over and talk about revenue collection. You remember we have been told over and over again this morning that the blue economy is a high potential for wealth creation and job creation in the lake. The on-land economy also has a high potential for doing the same, and people are wondering what effort we are making to do so and what are the initiatives we should have to do so. And the man coming over as part of this team defected from politics to join the private sector. He was treasurer of the ODM. He has taken the knowledge we gave him in collecting money from us to the private sector. He's called Omingo Magara, among others. So introduce yourself and please make your presentation. Asante Nisana.
Your Excellencies, all protocols observed. I'm aware that we are a very, very limited time as we work on technology. My name is Omingo Magara. Outside politics, I'm also a consultant and I'm an accountant by profession. There are so many members, my seniors here, including Governor Oparanya, FCPA Governor Fernandez, Baraza. We are here this morning to present you something different from what others have been presenting. Hitherto, the counties are depending much more on centrally shared revenue than on source revenue. Truth be told, unless you have it, you may not be able to plan and spend it. I am here courtesy of the experience we had in Kakamega, and I will request, I have permission of Honorable Oparanya to talk about Kakamega. Now that we have a substantive and sitting governor, I'll request Governor, my senior, to allow me to talk about Kakamega because an experience we've had, and I think if we engineer and renovate ourselves, I can tell you we can be independent in terms of revenue enhancement strategy. Now, RevTech is coming together of 3 companies. The experience I had in Kakamega was I was running alone with not so much expertise from the other sectors. And since we have to re-engineer and think differently, I partnered with 2 other experts to share our experiences. We did the framework of revenue enhancement strategy by creating a revenue equivalent in the county. There is no point why we should centralize revenue collection and everything is being devolved. And therefore, the benefit people get at the central KRA body, it can be given to Busia, Kakamega, Nyamira, and Kisumu, for example. So our people can also get mortgages from a well-paid paying agency done by an act of the county assembly to lock it against any other person who can go do litigation. But upon then doing the structures, remember, next slide. Upon doing the structure, accountability, sorry, it's okay, I get it now. Accountability has partnered with Ramani, who actually do geospatial engineer systems to identify to you where your revenues lie. For example, how many people in your country are paying rates on an empty plot, but yet their plot was developed? This is what we want to cure. The weakness I saw, we are curing it by bringing other experts. Ramani for data, and Left-Out for purpose of digitization, where data we receive. Now, this is our approach. This consortium brings together 3 companies. Accountability, where I sit, and what we used to do a case in Kakamega, and that for sure you see the results upon that baby step thing we did without the expertise we have now, you have joined us now. Then we have Ramani to give us data and Left-Out to do automation. When a professor was talking about what they have achieved in healthcare, it is because they had data. If you have no data, you can't move. And therefore we're saying accountability says systems, processes, legal framework, and policy purpose to insulate that agency that is independent and autonomous, and the ministers, the CEC, using the PFM Act, can appoint an agency. And that agency now can be a KRA equivalent in Kisi, in Nyamira, or Busia for purpose of agency of revenue collection. Now, with that structure and framework, we then move to data collection, where Ramani will provide solution to that, and then we do automation. Most of us do run to automation before we block the pipes from leakages. We must ensure that we have data, we have a system, we have pipe that is leaking, not leaking, and therefore you can put on automation at the end of the pipe, even if it's a golden tap, you are sure the pressure will be within the pipe. And that is the solution we have to have. Now, accountability, I don't want to talk much about what we do. We are a governance and financial consultancy organization that deals with oversight, financial issues, management, and including food security. We have already had trainings and engineering companies to grow. Our motto is integrity. Integrity is a bedrock, and good governance, and we do unleash potential for growth for individuals and companies. Now, permission for Kakamega, and I think I'm properly permitted. In Kakamega, we went and identified where they were. They told us, because you don't work in a vacuum. I am sure in Homa Bay something is happening. That is what we are building on to make it better. And we then turned it around, did an act of county assembly, we did the policy documents, we talk about procurement plan, we're talking about procurement policy document, ICT, and HR documents to be able to operationalize the agency. The reason why we do that, it doesn't matter how much you automate, there has to be human intervention. And that human intervention, unless motivated, they will not deliver. I want to confirm that the first 6 months in Kakamega, when everybody knew that they are going to migrate to a better agency, the pockets usually, when people are collecting, mfuko ya individual inachafuka sana because it's overused, as opposed to that one official. And therefore, within a short while, because when they knew they are going to migrate to a new system, they actually gave results. And today, I think with the report we're seeing from the Commission of Revenue Allocation, a research done by the World Bank, Kakamega is topping with a baby step, I said, by 244% over performance of their target. And I want to thank you and thank our Paranya for doing this. But this did not come without challenges. I know governors are politicians. Your employees and your electorates worry too much about the unforeseen issues that comes with the change you are promising. Now, the fear of the unknown is a political and social problem that we can address it like this. Assure your agencies in the revenue, who are so many, and most of them actually cannot hardly read and write. Tell them we shall package you in the pool, but we shall mine the quality we want to migrate this other side. And when you migrate, you're not going to be permanent here. We can also take you back if you don't perform. And therefore, that is a motivational thing. Now, on the issue of comprehensive on social revenue data, that we didn't have the capacity. We have brought in an expert who just mentioned about 2 minutes how it's going to happen to help you improve your revenues. And then automation, we have also somebody who has a solution to help us now automate. Remember, when we were doing that in Kakamega, we only did the framework. We had to bring in somebody else who never had the thought process we had to walk through and realize our dream as initially planned. And if you look at that performance with the intervention, Kakamega short, yet not exactly full potential, but they performed more than expected. As I wind up, all other counties, it may be with a modest input, Kakamega is leading today. Can you give them a clap? Thank you so much. With those few remarks, allow me to introduce Mzungu born in Kilimani. He's all black but white out. Mr. Graham Shaw, tell us about data.
Thank you. Yeah, Mzungu moja hapo. Alafu Romani. I don't know how many of you know Romani means map in Kiswahili. Those who knew, put your hand up. Okay, that's good. That's good. Kenyan company, we're fully Kenyan, 80 staff. But I just thought we should just introduce the fact we are bringing GDP into Kenya because we're working with our partners. So let's work around the region and bring GDP into Kenya. I'm going to run through quickly. Data, the Professor Rogo talked about data. Data is money, my friends. It is no longer, do not ignore it. You know, look at what's happening with Microsoft, Google, everybody else. Please, just take it very, very seriously. So you got aerial solutions. I'm going to rush through because 2 minutes. And aerial solutions, a lot of people are using Google or Airbus, and I know that some counties have been using it. The camera is taking, it's very expensive equipment. So please don't always rely on Google. It's too far up. Land solutions, some very interesting developments. We were the first people to bring in a land radar system on the top left-hand corner. It will identify pipes, cables, everything underground up to maybe 2-3 meters. We've been doing Kenya Ports Authority. I know there was an agency here. They are very happy with finding out what's under their cement. Then you'll see the boat. We have done some work on the lakes, on the dams in Kirinyaga because they needed to know the silting. We've even done some work in Homa Bay, and we've got the governor here. Again, to find out how deep the port is. Can you make a dam there? Can you make a port? We've been working with the fisheries, and I hear Gatsby are here. It'll be interesting to know who they use. Anyway, we rush around. I need to rush through. I think we know all the sectors that we've been working in, but you can see the agriculture people here, top right-hand corner, meters of what their yield is, how much fertilizer they put in. You need the data. It doesn't, you've got a picture, convert the picture, you digitize it, you can then use it as a computer program. And we're now identifying yields on square meters. So those in agriculture, it's a very good tool. It's all about data. Very important issue. If you can't measure it, you can't are. But please look at other opportunities of generating revenue. Advertising boards. Do the governors know how many Kenya Power and Lighting poles are in your county? And charging rent, because you should be doing that. Where are those poles? We can help provide that data so you can start sending us a revenue. Let me just finish with this one because it's a cadastral. Everyone has seen those lots and lots of pieces of paper, handwritten land documents. Nairobi County, we digitize something like 400 pieces of paper. You then go to the right-hand side, you digitize it. You then go down to the bottom left, You go and take a spatial data image. You then convert that document on the top left to what is down my guru.
Thank you, Graham, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrew Odori. I'm a tech guru specializing in software development. We co-founded a company called Levatot, among us other founders, and we focus in developing and automating county operation. So we have developed account management platform, which we call SmartREB. This is a 360-degree platform that ensures it handles all the operations of the county. Over and above that, we have brought in the expert, the two, whereby we, using their guidance, we develop workflows that really help in streamlining the operation of the county. And number two, reading data that is provided by Ramani to ensure that we can pick up unique revenue streams, we can be able to see the potential of existing revenue streams, and be able to manage the whole collection processes with cash to ensure that there is no leakage, there is cashless in every operation. So our automation platform has about 11 modules, whereby we start by creating workflows to guide on how revenue collection structures will be. They are all defined in the system. It is process-based. Then from there we bring in data, which we can define by the team at the point of when we are creating the policies and structures. They have the tool, they have the visibility to see that this revenue has not been collected and take the right action. Okay? We will quickly take a minute just to show you exactly on the oversight, 1 or 2 minutes. So, get up.
Hi everyone. My name is Alex Wanjala. I'm a techie, so I'm going to take a maximum of 1 minute. My name is Alex Wanjala. I'm a techie. I'm going to take, I think, 1 minute to present to you the solution on how it looks and basically the functionality of it. This is a billing module whereby we have automated over 800 revenue streams, whereby members. This is a billing module whereby we have automated over 800 revenue streams on the billing module. You can be able to bill the customers. And then apart from that, we have also done a self-service module whereby customers don't need to come to the cash office to the county to apply for services. They can do it online. For example, they want to pay for their parking, they'll come here, select the kind of service they want. For example, if it's parking, they'll be able to do that. If they want to apply for a business permit, they'll come here, register the permit, okay? And then from there, they can also be able to produce basically the county licenses, for health certificates. You have the receipt as well. And then now we have taken, for example, one module for the adverts, whereby the department for adverts, you can be able to see where all the advertisement polls are. And I think we have also taken that into WhatsApp for those people who don't want to download an app because of space. You don't need to download anything. You can just come to WhatsApp and chat with it. So for example, you want to print your business permit. You say select option 2, which will tell you to enter your business permit ID. And then I'll enter the number. And then from there, automatically the robot will send you a business permit, and you can be able to print and do whatever you want with it. So if you want to pay for parking, all those services you can do via WhatsApp, Telegram, or Instagram as well. Thank you.
If we don't double your revenue in 1 year, you can fire. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wilken. I think we have learned a lot and we shall engage you. And if I don't double my revenue in 1 year, of course I'll charge you. But thank you. Now we're going to go very quickly. Okay. You said the cost don't worry about. You plug and you pay. I don't know what that means, but you know, these people who make money, they know how to sell things to you in a language you don't understand. You can plug and pay and see what happens. We want to do two things now. I want to call Dr. Raju. These are two last presentations we're going to have. Dr. Raju is going to make a very interesting presentation that will be, and coming to that, Dr. Raju, and then we'll have the Madam Agnes Odhiambo, and then I'll ask the First Ladies to say something to you which you should wait to hear. So don't go away, don't even go to the washroom, just stay when they come on stage. So that's a warning, you can do your things before then, but when the First Ladies come, please, we want a full house, listening attentively to the two ladies. Thank you very much. Now, can I ask Dr. Raju to come on? Dr. Raju is here. This Dr. Raju.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Chair, how much time I have?
I said just stop.
No, if I have 30 minutes, I'll present all that. I have 3 minutes, I'll complete it.
7 minutes.
It's difficult. No signal. No signal. Guys, can you please help me?
Okay.
Yeah, signal is there. Yeah. Namaskar. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Chair, for giving us the great opportunity to present a few developmental activities. They are potential to change the fate of entire country, particularly LREB counties. There exists always two approaches, problem-driven and solution-driven. As we adopt a solution-driven approach to give great projects here, I pray the Almighty to bless us well with an ancient Sanskrit sloka, as we derive in India, called Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Nrityorma Amrutangamaya. That means the great Almighty drive us from ignorance to the truth, from darkness to the light, and enlighten us to revive our Mother Earth. The projects we propose now are in the service of Mother Earth and making LREB a green regional block. Now I start with this great partnership been on working since last few months. This collaboration is for the sustainable development between the Great Lake Region Economic Bloc and our company called Procop Enertech Private Limited, through the step-down partners from Government of India side, from Ministry of Railways and Ministry of Energy and the Green Mantra, which is an environmental agency. Now I introduce myself. I am Dr. Raju S. Gannavarapu, the CEO of the company called Procop. Yeah. So these projects are aimed to align LREB with the all 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. I don't want to brief more on that. This is the first and foremost engagement we have signed together with our company Procop and India's largest power producer, NTPC, National Thermal Power Corporation, which is, if you take Kenya's electricity generation, it is about 2000 to 2003
2,300 megawatt is the captive consumption, whereas this company of mine, the partner of mine, produces over 100,000 megawatt per day. That is the size of our partner who has joined hands with us, with the LREB, to make a great thing. These are the sectors we are focusing on. These are the target sectors. The first target sector is energy. For any country to develop, two prominent projects are needed. One on energy, the other one is on transportation. The rest of them, certainly they require, but they are the support ones. Healthcare, housing, and education. At this moment, we are concentrating only on energy. Through this energy initiative, we wanted to develop about 20 megawatt of solar power generation plants to be established in all 14 counties. That means about 280 megawatt of solar power, green power, shall be developed, generated within LREB, and that will be transmitted, distributed, and reach to the end consumer at least at the 50% of the cost what we are paying. I'm sorry, I feel sorry to pronounce this. The energy cost, what we observe, I don't know, probably you may have to correct me, energy costs in this country are insanely high. I'm sorry to use this word, insanely high. That will never enable us to develop industrial growth here. So now we are targeting the price to be reduced at 50% of the cost to reach every consumer. So that's the broader perspective. Apart from that, when I say NTPC, I just want you to watch this 1 minute video which explains what is NTPC. Audio? We lost audio. Technical guys, can you help me? Audio is not there. I did. Oh, I'm sorry. This audio has to be heard. Can someone help me? Sound, please. And these are the NTPC facilities where His Excellency is the Chair, Professor Anyango, His Excellency Governor Amos Nyaribo, and the former Governor Colonel Rasanga, and the rest of the senior delegates from Kenya. About 25 senior level delegation has visited India last, I think 3 months ago. And they have individually, they have seen, experienced those facilities. And Professor, anyway, leave it. At least they're able to see the images. So Professor has requested us, why can't we replace these kind of infrastructural facilities here in Kenya? And we are here, and last month the senior level engineering team has come to conduct pre-feasibilities, and again the teams are planned to come again. And next, yes, if you can see this is one of the largest floating solar power plants we have erected in India. His Excellencies have personally visited on the boat in the midsummer of about 50-degree heat. You have visited, thank you very much. And now our partner NTPC is coming here to establish this floating solar power plant in our lands,
of this lake region. It could be on Lake Victoria, or it could be on Lake Kenyaboli in Siaya. So this solar power plant on the waters would generate about 100 megawatt green power, which would, together with the ground-mounted solar power plants we are going to establish, all this power will be distributed to entire 14 counties of this LREB, leading us to gain energy independence to this region. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Now this is the broader plan. We generate green power within the region. We transmit it through our Government of India partners and distribute it to the end consumers, and the end consumer is saved by at least 50%. Now I'm going to the other great initiative we have already engaged with. We have already signed a memorandum of engagement together with Government of India, Ministry of Railways, and all the excellencies from the Lake Region Economic Bloc. This inter-county railway network is going to create big opportunity-driven scope for entire region. This region, if you say, predominantly what we understand is dependent on agriculture, and the lower or middle level citizen population. The lowest transportation, if you can provide, that accelerate the development. That is the intention of developing this great initiative, and pre-feasibility is going on, and probably all the excellencies on board here may have to negotiate, cooperate, and coordinate with the national government to get into the relevant accreditations to have our dedicated railway network within this LREB that is connected to the main line what we have. So these are the few picks where the Managing Director and the Chairman of Indian Railways and the Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation and the Director Projects of that company called Mr. Srinivas, and His Excellency is Professor Anyangu, and you see former Governor, who have former Governor Rasanga, and His Excellency Nyaribo. They have travelled across those dedicated freight corridor railway lines in midsummer again, and they have seen those things are going to be realized very soon with all your cooperation. Now this is a small media brief Governor has given, though voice is not there, my voice and Governor's picture. So those are the senior-most ministry officials who have accompanied and explained what the dedicated freight corridor is and what we can replace here. I'm sorry for not having the audio on this side. Technical guys, can you help me again? I have two more small things. You can't. Anyway, yeah. So now I step on to the other initiative in pursuit of protecting the Mother Earth. Although those two big projects what we have explained are also the green and the environmental or climate change activities, this particular activity is a very small initiative, but we believe would have great impact on the environment. I think all of you must have been given a small envelope and a notepad by now. Is it distributed to everyone now? Yeah, great. I request all of you to just open it, and I request my partner, my friend, my brother, Professor Dominic is here, who would brief on this for a while.
Thank you, Dr. Raju, Your Excellencies, Governors. What you have in front of you is liberation in terms of how we recycle things in this country and other countries as well. We are the green mantra, that's what we call ourselves, in pursuit of protecting Mother Earth. Each of you has a bag, and each of the bags that you have, no. Okay. Now, each of the bags that you have, you'll see it has, you have a bag like this one here, that is 100% biodegradable. And if you go to the corner of that bag, and I'll tell you the story here in just a minute. There's a corner, make sure yours has one. There's a corner right here, you can feel something. Can you feel something at the corner? At the corner right here. Ladies and gentlemen, after you have used that bag, and you decide to throw it away, it is biodegradable, but you have just planted a whole bunch of trees. Those are trees, those are seeds that allows you to green your environment as you throw away the trash. Now, it is not only going to be biodegradable, but you're also going to plant some trees as well. Now, the bags that you see here, see this bag right here? You know, when we do reforestation, we plant trees in bags that will take hundreds of years to decompose, isn't it? Now, this is 100% biodegradable, so as you plant the trees, you are also planting them in biodegradable bags. So that's absolutely fantastic. Now, if you look inside the bag again, you'll be able to see a pencil. That pencil is made up of recycled materials, and at the tip of that pencil, after you're done using it, right here, there are seeds for vegetables. So after you finish and your kid throws it away, guess what the kid just did? They just planted spinach, tomatoes, or any of the seeds that might be in here. So what are we doing? We are taking care of the environment in all aspects of our lives, which is extremely important, and that's why when we call ourselves the green mantra, yes, we do sleep, wake up, think green all the time. You also received a notebook. That notebook is made of recycled materials, and those recycled materials, if you feel that notebook, it's a bit rough. Kidogo, sindio? Now, if you look on the inside, kidogo namna hii, you'll see a few things that are spotted in there. Ladies and gentlemen, those are seeds for different trees and plants. So as you use this notebook and the kids throw it away, these are biodegradable and you'll be able to use, and you have just planted a whole bunch of trees. So what are we doing? We are revolutionizing and really redefining what green is all about. Okay. That's good. Huh? Go to the next one. Yeah.
No. The next one.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, although we don't have, go back. Give us just a second.
Yes, audio has come.
These are the other products, ladies and gentlemen. You see what I just did? I just ate my plate.
Of the Green Mantra Sustainable Innovations is a notebook that produces flowers. Once used, just tear off the cover page into pieces, plant them in loose soil and sprinkle some water. Beautiful flowers will blossom. The top end of the pencil is capsuled with assorted seeds, ready for sowing and potential potential to yield a bounty of organic vegetables. Dr. Rajil
is so angry.
When you produce products using they are totally edible. So what you can do, you give your food in the bowl, and then you will start eating. That is also edible. And the good thing also is there's like instead of starch and cornstarch, instead of starch, those are seeds, for instance. So if you decide not to eat or you take away, I mean, you can just plant it.
Again, just by drinking water bottle. We are going to replace those water bottles with the biodegradable ones, which are going to help our environment. Yeah. And this is the process. I think we go to next.
So finally,
one second. I just wanted to share this. You see this crowd there? In India, this the place called Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanams. Lord Balaji we call it, Lord Krishna, where almost 100,000 to 500,000 people visit every day and take darshan of the Lord. All of them will carry a holy prasad called holy offering in these bags. Otherwise, they used to be about 1 million plastic bags are being used every day. Now they have been replaced with our bags generating green cover. Yeah, you see this. See, this is the crowd. Every day, this is the crowd every day. And imagine how much carbon footprint they create. All those carbon footprint is taken away with this bag. These are the counters where we sell these bags at a subsidized price. Imagine, people are rushing to those counters as if gold is distributed freely.
Just to wrap up, the first factory for this product is going to be in Kisumu. We're going to put it here so that we can preach the gospel to the rest of the region. Thank you very much.
If you want to eat a plate where you have eaten lunch, wait until the factory is established. Thank you so much, Raju.
Next summit, we will all eat plates, not lunches.
Okay, so thank you, Raju. Finally, let me call here, before I call the first ladies, let me call Madam Agnes Odhiambo, the Kenya Devolution Support Program, or the Kenya Devolution Program, to come and address us. I'm sure you remember Madam Agnes Odhiambo, the important role she played in our government in terms of finances at our office. You remember? Madam, are you control of budget?
I was control. Are you forgotten?
Yeah, you are control of budget. Just to jog your memory in case you have forgotten. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Excellency Governors, I recognize you, development partners, and all guests. I specifically recognize FCPA Dr. Oparanya, who was the first governor of Kakamega and a classmate of mine at the university. So I'm very happy to be here. And of course, the FCPAs here, I recognize you. I'm also FCPA. Honorable Omingo Magara, I'm your senior. You forgot to say that. So according to the program, I'm supposed to be on a panel in the afternoon, but I have been informed that I need to speak about the Kenya Devolution Program. So allow me just to make a few remarks about the program, and also to say it's a very difficult hour to make any presentation because I'm coming between you and lunch. So indulge me, and Prof, how many minutes do I have?
Yes, sir.
7 minutes. This is a very big program to cover in 7 minutes, but let me try. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 4-year program. It runs from July 2021 to March 2025, so we've done 1 year of the program. It's funded by the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, and we have representatives from FCDO here. And I think at the opportune time, the representative of the High Commissioner will be speaking. This program is being implemented by a consortium of partners, 8 partners, led by a local institution. The 8 partners are both local and international, but the lead partner is a local NGO known as Act Change Transform. Act Change Transform works in the area of governance, human rights, peace and security, and other areas as well. So it runs other programs as well. This program has 5 key output areas or pillars. The first pillar is supporting the intergovernmental relations institutions in the development world, popularly known. We are supporting on-source revenue. We are doing quite a bit of work in a number of counties to strengthen the on-source revenue systems. The third pillar is on public participation, and we are supporting strengthening of public participation and citizen engagement frameworks so that the public can be able to hold the county leadership to account. The fourth pillar is on supporting evidence generation, learning and use of digital technology. As you're aware, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of information is produced, but it is not harnessed so that it can be used as, learning forums or be domiciled in a center of excellence for reference